side with us. Green, blue, and gray, that's what we rock. Hawk Tawk, ride with us, side with us. Glad to hear y'all dropped in. Hawk Tawk, slide with us, Walt and Dave get locked in, and let's go.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Dave DeRocher and Walter Thurman III.
How's it going?
And in case you forgot, this is Hawk Talk. We took a little time off. You know, we over celebrated the Super Bowl. You know, and had a good time. But it's funny when we were getting things started here, and producer Pete, our good buddy that makes all this happen, goes, "Oh man, I got to remember how to push the buttons." It seemed like it took a second, Walt. There's like, okay, we got it.
The countdown happened.
Yeah, but hey, think about this: in the off season, that first day back, and you put that helmet on, and it's like snug. You're like, "Oh man, I don't remember being this tight."
Finger-headed, yeah. Oh.
Right?
Got to get used to it again, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get back into it, man. Yeah, it's the same cleats, it's the same uniform, same helmet, but it takes a minute to get back into it. So bear with us. But we're
different sometimes.
Yeah, we're back. So we talked briefly, Walt, but catch everybody up on what you're doing now.
I'm in the thick of softball season right now. So we're 6 games left of league, and simultaneously got appointed the head coach for girls flag football. So we just started doing some stuff here this evening after softball practice. So it's a little double duty right now. Got to get ready. Season's around the corner.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's really amazing to me, and I think it's great to see flag football evolve like it has. To be honest, I think high school kids even, until you're 16, 17, you still haven't grown into your body. And you're subjecting it to things that, that probably aren't the best thing for, full contact football. And flag football gives you some of the skill set and let you go out there and, compete, participate, have some fun, especially the girls. And I would like to ask you, can you equate like girls flag football to girls basketball as far as
great question.
Yeah, because like when I was the official financial planner for the LA Sparks. So okay. I sat there with Cooper, Lisa Leslie, and because they gave us courtside seats, the whole thing. And I will tell you, watching women play basketball, technically, they're better basketball players than men are. I mean, a bounce pass, a bank shot, the jumper, the 12-foot jumper, you know what I mean? They play basketball.
Yeah.
But they're not maybe as exciting to watch. Do you kind of find the same thing with the flag football? I mean, are they really into it and they're technically sound?
I'm gonna jump off sports here because I haven't think about the technical aspect of it. Golf, right? That's a huge one of like the ladies aren't driving it or hitting it as far, but they're straight, the down line, and they're very efficient in like their craft in that. Like with flag football, because like everything with sports, it's how does it compare to the men's sports? And so like you mentioned WNBA, I just think it's such a different grade because when you're, it's like it's not apples to apples. It's like apples to oranges when you look at basketball, women's basketball to men's basketball, even though it's the same sport, right? And because like they're not dunking, the athleticism is a little bit different, right? But with flag football, I feel like there's a truer sense of like it being apples to apples because there's no pass, they're not tackling, right? So even if you bring the men into that same type of situation, the girls are very agile, they're very quick, they're doing the one-hand catches, they're doing the same thing what the men are doing, right? So when you're looking at that capacity and like they're it's exciting too. I think it's going to be one of those sports that overtakes the WNBA from a viewership standpoint of being the premier women's sports, in America and internationally as well. That's just kind of my take on the situation. But I think
even surpassing softball, because softball is so
softball is right there too. Softball is one of those sports that are it's growing massively, and it's very entertaining to watch. There's way more action than
Sure it
there is
is.
in baseball. You know, the girls are very athletic. They're making the diving plays, spectacular plays, to where it's like, yeah, I think those two sports surpass soccer and then surpass basketball as far as like a professional sports that are going to emerge, where people are like, I can go tune into that. I can go to the stadium and go watch a basketball game or a softball game, excuse me, or go watch a flag football game because it's entertaining, right? And you don't have that, and then you, because people are constantly comparing it to, you know, to the men's sports. How's it to compare? And I think those two sports, you know, hold their own when you're like looking at it across the board, you know,
Yeah.
of their counterparts in the male sport. Yeah.
You know, as you were saying that, I mean, I didn't even consider that, and that is softball and baseball are not even, they're not even the same thing, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like women's softball is a completely different animal when you're watching it. I mean, it's a smaller field, it's a smaller. I mean, the
Yeah.
pitcher's right there, and I've watched women strike professional baseball players out.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, they're
I
coming.
mean, yeah. You know, the distance from the pitching mound to home plate, if a girl is throwing 70 miles an hour, you know, elite pitching, and some of them are getting up to almost 75, you know, that's like throwing a 105-mile-an-hour fastball. And you have and those girls are able to throw 130 pitches a game, and they come back the next day and do the exact same thing. So you talk about like the wear and tear, the durability of it, and like the you know, what it takes to play and hit, you know, that type of pitching. I mean, yeah, I mean, Ginny Finch, I think, struck out our Pujols, you know, in the you know, in that situation,
Right.
to show how fast it is and how quick a reaction time you have to have within the sport. So yeah, I think that sport, you know, solidifies itself once they kind of, you know, I think there's like a couple of professional leagues that are out there right now, but once they kind of have like that NFL type of league that's situated, I think that'll grow in popularity. I think the flag football situation as well. Obviously, we're starting to see it in some of the college sports. It's through high school and stuff like that. So, but I think it's one of those dynamics where people can get, you know, vested in, like, you know, it's entertaining to watch.
So, I know your softball prowess, aka wait, what's your AKA for softball?
What? Oh,
Your
you talking about Mahoney?
AKA.
You talking about the guy I used to represent, Mahoney? Yeah, he's out there
Okay.
somewhere.
Has he stepped into the box against any of your girls?
No,
No.
no, no.
I mean, you're slow pitch, right?
I've stepped in there, but like I'm more timid because like I don't want to fire one back and it
Right.
goes right back to the pitcher. You know, like,
That's a nice excuse.
yeah. Could I hit some of our pitch? Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll never know.
Some of those girls are very talented because there's so much movement on the ball, and it's coming from a you know, closer position to where your reactions have to be on point though. Yeah.
Right. Well, you know, it's good. It's always good to catch up. You know, and it's amazing all the great stuff that you do for our youth and youth sports. And I know I tease you a little bit, but I think it's fantastic. You know, we just had a great event at Honda Center with the Ambassadors of Compassion program. We had nearly 1,000 students at Honda Center talking about mental and emotional resiliency to kids in high school. And you know, we had I don't, you know, Marcus was on our show. Marcus Smith. Marcus
Oh
Smith
yeah.
came out, yeah, and talked about, and he was very vulnerable, talking about his anxiety. He actually had a small semi anxiety attack on the stage,
Oh wow.
and he actually had to stop. He goes, just give me a second, I need to stop. You know, and what he went through as a Seahawk after signing his big contract, and having anxiety and having, you know, suicidal ideacies and all those things, and he's very frank about it. That's why I'm able to say it. But
Yeah.
you know, for him to come and share to the students, and then for him to see what we're doing, I will tell you, man, it was fantastic. That was March 12th, just a few days before our golf tournament. And so, you know, that was fantastic. We're actually now launching nationwide. We're talking to a number of huge cities to do huge events in those cities and bring NFL guys and other people that can share their stories of what they've dealt with, so these young people don't feel like they're going through it alone, or that it's it's like, oh, I'm just I'm different, or I'm weird. No,
Yeah.
there's an NFL guy that dealt with it, and he's here sharing with us now. And now it normalizes it. It gives you some tools, and it gives you some stuff, and so that's been a great thing to be a part of. And then, of course, the golf tournament we had, which was March 16th, and uh, now you weren't able to make it, right?
Had a game.
You had a game come up. So this year we had a Medal of Honor recipient come join us, Gary Luttrell. And what I always like to share when I talk about Medal of Honor recipients is that there's only 64 living, and that is the highest award that anybody can be given for their valor in war. And Gary came to the event, and he was just awesome. We had Steve Largent was there, Jim Zorn was there, Uchenna Nwosu was there. So we had Seahawks representing, and a number of other celebrities, of course, Byron Scott from the Lakers, and so on. But Gary came up to me. Well, this was awesome. He came up to me after he went to the meet and greet the night before, and then to the event, and said, Dave, I want to raise some money for my nonprofit. If I bring like 7 Medal of Honor recipients, will you partner with me and we can do an event next year? Yeah. And I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I said, how about this? I can reach out to, because we have Steve Largent, Anthony Munoz has been there. We have a lot of Hall of Famers down here. I said, you bring the Medal of Honor guys, we'll bring the Hall of Fame guys, and we'll do a Medal of Honor and Hall of Fame Golf Invitational next year. It's going to be March 15th. We just got the date from Kodo, and it is going to be off the charts. It's going to be, we can't fill all the spots with Hall of Famers and Medal of Honor guys, because there's only about 100 Hall of Famers living at any given time. And what's awesome about it is that less than 1% of the U.S. population has ever met a Medal of Honor recipient, and we're going to have 7 at our event. Yeah. So it is going to be a cool thing for our veterans and for people, and of course we'll keep everybody posted as things go on. So anyway, I'm caught up. You're caught up. Now we got our good friend Brendan Spockhawk with us, who is Mr. Seahawk football, and we are going to get caught up on free agency, and we're going to get caught up on the upcoming draft and what that looks like. It's kind of a ho-hum draft, so there's not a whole lot to get excited about, but I think there's one player that really would bode well for us. But hey, Brendan, welcome back on the show. We always love having you, brother.
Thanks for having me on, man. Good to be back, and good to see you again.
Of course. So always, I think we start with free agency. We all know, just like last year, we lost some key players last year, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, we're never going to make it. And then, this year we lost some key players. But gosh darn it, except for Mafe, I really like that kid. I really thought, he's a talent. Walter might have a point of view on a couple others, but there's a couple that we lost. I'm like, yeah, good riddance, But would love your input, Brendan, what you thought about our free agency, not only who we lost, but who we brought in.
Well, it was, for the most part, a pretty peaceful free agency for the Seahawks. They did allow some of their bigger names to go. You are correct about that. But I didn't find it to be particularly surprising. And the unfortunate reality is, one of the downsides of winning the Super Bowl is that the players on your team become, in the perception of everyone else, more valuable.
Right.
So Ken Walker gets paid like a top 5 running back. I don't think Ken Walker's a top 5 running back, but that's his perception now, because he had a great postseason run and he won.
Well, he had a fantastic Super Bowl. He really did. But to your point, Brendan, I found him, as great as he was, and we've always talked about this, even through the season, we're talking about how great his potential is if he can stay healthy, which he has not been able to do. So I think we got a great year out of him, but do you really pay him all that money and hope that he can buck the trend and stay healthy? Because for the most part, he hasn't. Does that make sense to you?
Right. And you have other things too, like the fact that he's not a great player on third down. He's an okay receiver. He's not a good blocker. there are limitations with him as a player
Oh,
that I think. Again, is he a good running back? Sure. Is he a top 5 running back in the league? No. Now, you could have still paid him a little bit more to try to keep things together, but you decided to not go down that route. And running back is a position where you can do that and get away with it more often than not. That is one of the positions where good players come out of nowhere all the time.
right.
We've seen it with this Seahawks team in recent memory. Like, you find somebody like a Thomas Rawls and you jump on him and you ride him for about a year and a half. And Thomas Rawls did incredible things as an undrafted free agent. Chris Carson was a 7th round pick.
Right.
These guys come out of nowhere, and they come out of nowhere at every position, but they really come out of nowhere at running back. So they signed Green Bay's backup running back, Emmanuel Wilson. He's interesting. He actually had some. Sorry about that. He
That's
actually
right.
had some really interesting games in Green Bay when Josh Jacobs actually got hurt for a little bit there. So that could, I mean, I don't know a ton about Emmanuel Wilson overall, but from the little bit we've seen, because he hasn't played a lot, that's the thing.
Yeah.
There is definitely something there, and they're going to try to piece it together by committee this year. Eventually, Charbonnet is going to be back. He's going to be back from the injury. And then you're going to have maybe Kenny McIntosh finally gets on the field. I don't know what he has at this point because he keeps getting these massive injuries. But they're going to try to piece it together in the backfield this year. And I think that's okay. And I understand it. And I could go through these other players as well that we let go, like Woolen, who I don't think it was even a matter of money with Woolen. I think that if you looked at the way Mike McDonald seemed to think of Reek Woolen, it was just a matter of I don't really want that guy back. I think that was very apparent by the end of the year.
I agree.
Yeah.
What do you think, Walt?
Well, I mean, he's one part of Pete's draft class, right? And so, like, it's fit the scheme. Probably didn't fit the current scheme where he's at. Maybe how he kind of viewed himself as a player, and having some of the injuries and things of nature, and trying to battle back and trying to show his value and worth. I think, to like Brendan's point, I think that was like, a guy that you can kind of release and let go and, save money and not have to keep that, that overhead. And you bring in, you draft a young guy, maybe they probably looking for somebody in free agency, but didn't pan out. But like, they draft somebody, because I think the core right now is pretty solid with, Witherspoon and Josh Joby. So you bring another guy that's kind of, comes in there and fills that 3rd spot, 4th spot, and make it work from that regard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you had Kobe Bryant, who is a good player, but he's another one of these guys that, again,
He's too high.
He's a starter on a team that just won the Super Bowl, so people perceive him as being one of the best players in the league at his position. And I don't necessarily think that he is. He's good. So that's something that feels replaceable to me. And Boye Mafe too. I mean, I like Boye Mafe. I was obviously he didn't do a ton in that final year. He really, by the end of the year, wasn't even playing that much. But these guys are not part of the core, and that's the thing that people need to keep in mind here. The Seahawks have committed to the guys they view as their core. That's Charles Cross. That's now JSN. That's Abraham Lucas. That's Ernest Jones. And you can't expand the core out too widely, or else you're not going to be able to afford anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So and it looks like Uchenna was able to stick around for at least another year.
Yeah. Looks like Nwosu's going to stick. DeMarcus Lawrence did not retire, so it looks like we're good there.
Good there. Yeah. So with that overall free agency, because I know you watch this, buddy. I know you watch this daily. I know you talk about it daily. What would you give our overall free agency grade, and based on what your grade is, where do you see where we did well and where we still have some holes?
I mean, free agency grade, it would just be like some kind of a B. There's nothing extraordinary there, but I think they did fine.
Yeah.
They did not go out and sign any big names, but there were not very many big names to have. Like, I would have loved a guy like Khalil Mack, but Khalil Mack signed with the Chargers before free agency started. You never had a chance to get him. Okay. So that was not really on the table. There were a couple other guys that might have been interesting, but nothing over the top. Like we re-signed Josh Jobe, which by the way, that's a great contract. Let me just say that. Great contract on Josh Jobe. But overall it was kind of quiet. And the thing is, and this is something I talk about on my channel a lot, we're going to get extra draft picks next year because of the free agents we lost, because of the compensatory system that the NFL uses, where if you lose free agents and you don't sign new ones to replace them, you get extra draft picks in future drafts.
Really?
Yeah.
Explain that. Did you know that, Walt?
No, that was in the last collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah. Basically, what it is that based on how big the contract the player gets,
okay,
the team that loses the player gets a pick. Like for instance, this draft, if you look at the back end of the third round, the Vikings have an extra third round pick. And the reason why they have that extra third round pick is because they lost Sam Darnold and we signed him. Now, we don't give them the pick. The NFL just makes the pick appear out of the ether and gives it to them.
Really?
Yeah.
Does that add a total draft pick then to the 256?
Right, because
there'll be 257.
Yeah, it generates an extra pick out of nowhere, basically. But
wow,
if you take a look at it, you'll see that there are extra picks at the end of the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds. That's why that's the case, because there are compensatory picks that generate in those rounds based off free agency. And also, if you have an assistant coach get hired as a head coach by another team, and that head coach is, a minority, the team that loses that coach gets 2 third-round picks in the next 2 drafts. So they actually have all kinds of things in place so you can get extra picks that are not immediately obvious where they came from.
Interesting.
Have you heard that, Walt? I'm asking you again, but I've not heard that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, not that mechanism and how it kicks in for sure. That's interesting though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then based on this free agency, Brendan, how many did we pick up then?
It looks like it's going to be 4. It's probably going to be like 2/4, a 5th, and a 6th next year. And the thing to keep in mind is next year's draft is good. This
draft sucks.
This draft is not good, but next year's draft is. Next year's draft is going to be, you're probably going to have like Arch Manning. You're going to have maybe the Alabama kid, Ryan Williams. It's going to be way deeper. There's going to be way more star power. So I think that John Schneider kind of planned this out in his head where like, I'm not going to have a lot of picks in this draft, but I don't care because this draft is bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to hoard my picks next year because that's the good draft.
Well, but then also to your point, it's like it's even bigger than that, right? It's bigger on who am I signing on free agency, right? To be able to get those picks, right? You're letting these guys go, so I don't need to sign them now. We're going to play for the future. And I mean, if you look at the roster, a lot of guys naturally are still, like you said, the core of the team. You know, the guys that we left were a couple of DBs, a couple of safety, corner, were running backs. I mean, those are guys that were, I don't say expendable, but I mean, those are guys that you can you have a young core guys that are there that are still under contract that you can go pick some guys up, in the free agent or obviously in the drafts here.
Yeah.
So I think it worked out.
Yeah. And there are all kinds of rules, like free agent signings made after the draft do not count. So you can do stuff there and it doesn't affect the compensatory pick stuff. It's complicated. But as of right now, it looks like the Seahawks are going to get 4 bonus picks next year because they lost a bunch of players and did not re-sign players to replace them that are high profile. Like you can sign cheap guys. Like we signed Rodney Thomas. We signed Emmanuel Wilson, but they're cheap. It doesn't affect it.
Yeah.
So a question, are there restrictions on those draft picks? I mean, can we bundle them, use them to trade up?
Not in this draft. We can do that in the next draft. The thing is, the picks are not made official until sometime next year.
Okay.
So we know they're going to be there, but because we don't know exactly where they are, we can't trade them yet. But when we get to the draft, we will be able to because we'll know.
Okay. So we don't actually have to pick a player. We can actually leverage them. So that's actually
very possible.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So and to be clear, the picks that we're going to get are 2027. It's for the following year. So that's why that's exciting.
Of course. Yeah, because like to your point, there's going to be some premier players that we can take 3 or 4 of those, bundle and trade up, and because hopefully we're picking 32nd again,
Mhm.
and we'll need to bump our way up to get somebody of some quality.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So okay, so I would tell you, Brendan, that was really interesting to me, and I hope people are watching. But we're going to make a short clip of that explanation, because I do not believe there's very many people that know that know it and that understand it and can articulate it like you just did. So I thank you for that. That's some great insight.
Yeah, it's just called the NFL compensatory draft pick system. I think it
Interesting.
is relatively new. It hasn't been going on forever to my knowledge, but it
Yeah.
is kind of cool. And like again, you look at the back end of the third round this year, like I think the Eagles have an extra third round pick because they lost Milton Williams to the Patriots. So we've kind of gotten into the flow of it, and you can kind of figure out what the NFL is going to do ahead of time.
It's interesting. So overall free agency, where did you see us? Because it sounds like to me that we actually did on the surface not so well, but in the back end of it, we actually were pretty smart with it. But was there anything that you think that we missed on? Do we not keep anybody? It sounds like Bobo's. It sounds like all the ones we want around are still around.
I would probably say that I'm not currently comfortable with the running back situation on this team.
Well, right.
I think that stands out.
Yeah.
But even with them trying to piece it together with a couple of different players, it's still shaky. But other than that, like I like what I actually think they have a little bit of a plan at edge here. They're going to sign somebody after the draft. They're going to go get Dante Fowler. They're going to go get Jadeveon Clowney. They're going to go get a Von Miller, one of those guys. And that's going to be kind of one of their big acquisitions, because those guys, they're older players. They don't want to do training camp. They want to sit at home.
Yeah.
And like Clowney didn't start playing football until October last year because he's like, I don't want to mess around with this offseason stuff.
Yeah.
I just want to show up and play football because I'm old.
Yeah.
And, he
And
has
he
the right
can.
to do that because he's a good player. So I think they're going to do something there. Cornerback, this draft is so good at cornerback. That's one of the few positions this draft is good at. I'm not worried about that. So mostly it would just be like running back to me. Running back is uncomfortable.
Yeah. And everybody's of course, the name that's been tagged to us at 32nd is the kid out of Notre Dame, the number 2 kid out of Notre Dame.
Yeah, Jadarian Price. I mean, he's all right. I'm not as big a fan of him as some other people, but he's a pretty decent prospect all around. He's got some speed, but not a ton. He seems cerebral with the way he approaches running with the football, but these running backs that didn't even really start in college, it's hard to trust them. Like Jadarian Price is getting to play defenses after the defense already got softened up by Jeremiah Love.
Right.
So it's just one of those things where I'm a little bit cautious about that. I don't want to fall into the trap of going, well, we need a running back, and this is the running back that's here, so we're just going to take it and not, that's a trap. That's how you take LJ Collier. That's how you take Jermaine Ifedi. It's a dangerous game.
Yeah, who are those guys? But there is another running back that was mentioned that people are saying that people are overlooking. But I don't know who that is. I don't know. Do you?
You mean running back?
Yeah.
Well, after Price, you've got like Mike Washington, you've got Jonah Coleman, you've got Emmett Johnson, Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, Demon Claiborne, Adam Randall. There are names. Like, I like Mike Washington a lot. He's a lot of fun, but he's very high cut. He's got the long legs, so it's hard for him to like change direction, but he's fast, he's big, he's really, really unique. I'm a big fan of Mike Washington. That would be kind of a guy that I'm keeping.
Where do you go to school at?
Arkansas. He's a Razorback, and he looks like Darren McFadden. Like, if you remember Darren McFadden,
sure,
Mike Washington's going to make you think about that a little bit. Coleman, you could keep him in state, right? He played with the Huskies this last couple of years, and you keep him in state, could be all right. Claiborne is interesting because you could probably get him in like the 5th or 6th round. He's kind of like a cheaper version of Ken Walker. He plays very similarly. He's small, he's fast, he's quick. He dances a little too much. It's a lot like Ken Walker. So there are things they can do here, but hopefully they actually do some of them.
Yeah. So then that all being said, let's talk about the draft and where do you see? I mean, what would you, in your capacity and all the analysis that you do of the team and of the draft and everything else, where would you, if you were sitting in that chair making a call, where would you go?
Well, my dream pick in this draft at 32 or somewhere around that area, if we trade back a couple picks, whatever, that area is Jermod McCoy, the cornerback from Tennessee. To me, he is the best corner in this class, and the only reason why he's not going to be a top 10 pick is because he got hurt and hasn't played in a while. But
Okay.
I think he brings a little bit of everything you could want from a cornerback. And as long as you believe that injury is not degenerative, then I believe that is if he somehow slips to 32 because everybody else is scared to pick him because he's been hurt, then I'm taking Jermod McCoy. To me, he's like this year's Will Johnson. And Will Johnson was a guy who should have been a top 10 pick last year, ended up falling to like 52, I want to say, to Arizona because he was hurt. And Will Johnson was great as a rookie. He didn't play every game, but he was excellent when he played. To me, McCoy's like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the moniker that as a young player you don't want to get put on you, is that you're injured, your damage goods coming in, but that drops you down to then somebody that's got great scouts that can judge talent and say we're going to take a risk on him.
Yeah.
Well, he ran. It looks like he tore his ACL.
He's been through it, man. He's been through it. But if you believe that injury is just a fluke, which I think that it is, I don't think it's like degenerative, then I think he's as good as it gets at the cornerback spot.
Did he participate in the combine?
No, but he did do a pro day and he tested well.
Okay.
Yeah, he tested well.
I'll tell you what, man. There's some DBs that were turning out some speeds. Did you watch that at all, Walt?
I didn't catch it.
Oh, there's some DBs, man. They're running 4.2s, 4.3s, like a bunch of 4.3s. I thought.
Yeah, Dylan Thieneman's a safety and ran a 4.35.
Out of Oregon, yeah.
As a safety. Oh yeah, Walt does. Yeah, Oregon. But hey, there were some big cats running, like high 4s. I don't know overall because I didn't spend a lot of time watching it. But what I did see is I saw a lot of speed this year.
Yeah, so some other guys that are a little more realistic that we could get, because I don't think McCoy's going to fall. Somebody's going to fall in love with him. That's how this goes. But like you've got TJ Parker, the edge rusher out of Clemson. I think he's a Mike McDonald kind of edge. He's big, he's strong, he plays the run. That's the kind of edge rusher that McDonald likes. He wants the big guys, the guys who do not get pushed around in the run. You also have Zion Young, another edge, the Missouri guy, similar. Other corners would be like Avion Terrell from Clemson. You've got Chris Johnson, who might be the perfect fit for this team, San Diego State corner, and Brandon Cisse, who likes my tweets on X sometimes, by the way. So I got to shout him out.
So you got to love him.
Yeah.
Hey, but you mentioned this stellar university just a second ago. San Diego State University.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's where I played. That's where I played, right, Brennan?
Yeah, okay. I do. I remember you talk about that with Kevin O'Connell sometimes. But yeah, San Diego State, Chris Johnson, cornerback. He is perfect for the Mike McDonald zone heavy scheme.
Yeah, I heard he's a baller. Yeah.
Yeah, San Diego State. They got a really special one this year, and if he's there at 32, I am all over that. You've got like I said, Brandon Cisse, even a guy like Colton Hood, the other Tennessee corner, is nice. So I got a few different things going on here that I have on my mind. Caden McDonald, the Ohio State nose tackle. But I'm keeping my options open.
Do you feel we're pretty good at linebacker? Because I haven't heard you touched on that at all.
Well, we re-signed Drake Thomas to a 2-year deal. So he's still here. You have Tyrese Knight, who is still 2 years left on his deal, and he's a backup now. Ernest Jones has 2 years left on his deal. And there really isn't a lot of room. Now, that being said, if the Seahawks draft Anthony Hill with their 32nd pick, the Texas linebacker, I'll be all over that because I think Anthony Hill is a very, very special player. So I'm not against it. I want to take the players that I think are good. I
Yeah.
don't want to just take the players that are present
Right.
at the
Right.
positions I need. But I don't think linebacker is a high priority right now just because you've got multiple guys that this team clearly likes at
With years
multiple
left.
year
Yeah.
contracts.
Yeah. Right. What do you
Is-
think,
is-
Walt?
Is there a good linebacker class next season?
Well, I know that this class was good at linebacker. That's the thing. That's why you might go ahead and take one now. I don't know a lot about the linebacker class next year. The only guy I really know of off the top of my head is the Perkins guy from Ole Miss.
Yeah.
But if you want a linebacker, this is actually not a bad year to do it because you've also got CJ Allen from Georgia. He's good. Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech. A lot of people really like him. He's forced like 12 fumbles over the last 2 years. It's crazy how he punches the ball out. I don't know how he does it. There are good linebackers in this class. It's just one of those things where I don't know if we have room for one unless maybe this team isn't completely enamored with Drake Thomas. They just are keeping him around because he's good enough. Then maybe you got something. And I love Anthony Hill and I like CJ Allen a lot too. So linebacker's not a bad idea, but I imagine it's a little deprioritized compared to some of these other positions we're looking at, like corner, like edge rusher, running back, etc.
Yeah. You know what? The other thing I kind of noticed this year collegiately is that the linebacking really undersized. There's more speed than it is size. At least the names that I've seen and was watching playing. Did you guys notice that at all? Or I didn't see like a bunch of. For a while there, like linebackers were just getting like 240, 250 pounds. They were just getting huge. And I didn't see that a whole lot collegiately. I mean, I saw just guys that were sideline to sideline, speed guys.
No, that is a pattern that has slowly kind of been taking over the league for a while now.
Yeah.
I think that you're seeing linebackers at like 220, 225 now. You never would have seen that 20 years ago, 30 years ago. They're all 240, 245, 250.
Yeah.
And that's just because the game changed and it got faster and teams started passing the ball more. If teams start running the ball more, teams will probably have to go back to bigger linebackers. So it's just one of those, transition things.
You know the linebacker from New Orleans, Davis?
DeMario.
I met that cat when we were in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. I thought he was like an offensive guard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's like 6'4", 250. I mean, that is a big dude. I couldn't imagine coming off the line of scrimmage off a double team and trying to pick him up on a blitz. I mean, he just would truck you, and probably why he's 12 years in the league and all pro and all the different stuff that he is, But just shaking his hand and standing next to him, I would have never pegged him as a linebacker.
Yeah, there's some weird, there's a USC linebacker this year, Eric Gentry. He's 6'7", which is one of the tallest linebackers ever, but he's only 220. So you look at this guy, he doesn't look like, he looks like a basketball player. He's 6'7", but he's 220. It's wild.
That's about what I was.
Is he outside backer?
Yeah, he's an off-ball linebacker for USC. He's he was not an edge rusher. He wasn't a pure pass rusher. He actually played off-ball linebacker. It was very strange, but he's got 35-inch arms, so he does bring something fun to the table. It's just he can't win leverage, right? When you're big and you're tall, you get out leveraged in the trenches all the time. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Hey, so Walt, when I signed my letter of intent to San Diego State, that's about 6'7", about 225.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never lifted any weights. Offensive tackle. I mean, yeah. So I had some work to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I showed up to camp at about 245.
Okay.
But I mean, in today's world, could you imagine?
Offensive lineman.
Yeah, I'd get killed.
Yeah, I mean, you go back and watch like old football tapes of like Lawrence Taylor playing in the 80s and 90s. Those offensive linemen he's going up against are like 250 pounds, I think. So back then, yeah, that was kind of normal. And over time, things got a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger. It's
Yeah.
now you've got 400 pounders out there in some cases.
So, well, I have a question for you. Like, because you navigated free agency, right?
Yeah, after the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah. What was that like? And the reason why I'm asking is because a lot of people don't realize that back when I played, we didn't have free agency. There was no free agency. That's why guys played 10 years with a team, 14 years with a team. There wasn't that capacity to go out and put yourself on the market like baseball and all these other sports. And so it's, in the grand scheme of things, relatively new. It didn't come around until I think it was like 1991 or two, when Plan B free agency became a thing, and it was a restricted free agency. It wasn't even a true open free agency like we see today. What was that like for you? I mean, did you work with your agent to get yourself out there? Were you talking to teams? What does that look like for people that are watching, so they understand what that is?
Yeah, I mean, I know people, interested on the reasoning, why I left Seattle there, but got offered, league minimum essentially within that situation, and that was like $800,000, for what the contract was for the 1 year there. So I mean, I just the value wasn't, how they represented the value wasn't there for me, and so looking to be able to go elsewhere to compete again, I was working with the agents, within that. Former defensive coordinator Gus Bradley brought me in for a visit. He was over the head coach at with the Jaguars. Went to the Niners, and then went to the Giants there. And it's kind of like a recruiting trip. They go out there and bring you in and kind of like, wine and dine you, and they have other other prospects there that they're looking to sign and stuff like that. Based off their needs, and kind of just. Well, for me, it was kind of, what's the best opportunity to be able to compete for a starting position, but then also, kind of thinking for just life after football as well. And it was going to be a good situation for me as well within that capacity. So, that's kind of where my thought process was within that. And then just signed a 1 year deal with the Giants, and then tore my pec week 2 of the season, was out for the year, and then back on the free agency market there. No one coming off of, the injury. It was like Chip Kelly, former college coach, offered me a spot to compete at cornerback and safety, and, decided to go down there. So again, a lot of it's kind of connection based, and I just felt comfortable with the coaching staff that was down there. Former players, Chris Maragos, special team specialist with the Hawks, and he was down there in Philly. And so there's some guys that I kind of knew from either playing in Seattle or through college, or playing against in college and stuff like that. And so it was just kind of a good atmosphere, a good fit for me to be able to to compete for a starting spot.
So the after the Super Bowl, the Seahawks were offering you the league minimum of 800.
About it was.
And so you were able to improve on that by going to New York.
Yeah, I mean, it was again better situation, and it was just, again, like I said, opportunity to be able to compete there.
Okay.
And yeah, it was like everything happens for a reason, but like what Brandon was saying, you come off the Super Bowl, everyone's looking for the secret sauce. Every coach is looking at like what they do in Seattle, why is the defense so good? But it's like, if your scheme is not the scheme, it doesn't even matter.
Right.
And so it's like, trying to express or elaborate the situation, that what makes it what made it special, or what we're doing. All we're doing is run cover 3. You can watch it on tape. It's not like it's that crazy.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't too big of a mystery. But I mean, you just can't replicate guys that have chip on their shoulders and have a level of accountability to compete at a high level. I mean, that's just something you just can't account for. And it was kind of interesting coming off that team and then going to that Giant team, to where on paper it looked good. You had guys that were some potential Hall of Famers, some guys that could be on the cuffs there, guys that have played at a high level in their career, but you just see it just didn't mesh well, so and everyone has their different motives, right? They could be an elite player in the league, but could just be just the me guy, and not kind of, paying it forward to what the teams. I think that's what made that team so special. I think that's what made this past Seahawks team so special, because you had a huge number of young guys, but then you had a nice aspect of veterans who were, chasing that ring, but then also understood the professionalism of being, playing at a high level, individually, irrespectively, but then also mentoring the young guys on how to play at a high level. And so it was just a great combination of just selfless football, and that's what we kind of seen, through this whole season as we're kind of following it, and why they were, why they started becoming dominant and finding their groove, and ultimately going into win the Super Bowl. They just did it. They just did it in a different trajectory than what that first Super Bowl team did.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Brendan, help me real quick with our left guard. Is it Zane Gray?
Gray Zabel.
Gray Zabel. Okay. And I'm so bad with names, but when we were there, and we were there all week for the Super Bowl up in San Francisco, and we were at the event Monday night when they introduced the teams and all that stuff, and I got an opportunity to interview him, and I will tell you what a great, intelligent, respectful young man he is. And I asked him, I said, we all know the history of the Hawks, especially like the last 10 years, has been great team, zero offensive line. And I asked him, was there any discussion with you and Cross and some of these younger guys saying, we are not going to be the reason we're not good? And he said, you know what? He goes, that was actually a topic of discussion, that we will do whatever it takes. If we need a 3rd and 10 or a 3rd and 12, we are going to do whatever it takes to protect the quarterback. If we need a 4th and 1, we're going to do whatever it takes to get across that line of scrimmage. He goes, we were going to do whatever it took. And I will tell you, it really, I thought, surmised the season. That offensive line really came together with a bunch of young guys and really carried the team. And did, I think, the best job we've seen in a very long time up front.
Yeah, they there was a lot of good stuff going on there. I think that the scheme also really helped them. I think that Kubiak did a great job putting that together.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually asked him that. I said, do you think bringing in the tight ends, and rather than spreading you guys out and putting you all in one-on-one situations, to protect the quarterback, bringing those tight ends in and go, everything tight, chipping, pass rushers, everything off of play action, help? He goes, yeah, big on big. You can't go wrong with big on big. We love big on big, But when you've got trips, and you got them everything spread out, and it's you got an edge rusher that's just gonna pin his ears back and come at you. That's a tough situation for any offensive lineman.
Yeah.
So you're right, Brendan, 100% that scheme helped tremendously. And I have to remember that we haven't been on the air since the Super Bowl, that I had a chance to interview a lot of these guys, and watch them. And I will tell you, when we were at that team event that Monday night where they announced the teams and present them to the fans, I'll tell you, Uchenna did such a great job, because this was the worst setup of any Super Bowl I've been at in the last 5 years. Were you there, Brendan?
No, I was not.
Okay.
I could not make it. I may make it next year, though. I'm working on it.
Well, let me know if you can make it down. You let me know, because I'm involved with a lot of different facets of the Super Bowl. I'll be there all week. We'll get you on Media Row. Okay. We have our shows on Media Row. We'll get you on Media Row. Anyways, so please let me know if you're going to come down. We'll get you to some cool stuff. That being said, we did the media night, and they had all the fans segregated into a corner at this horrible play. It was just so bad. And the active players did not know that the fans were stuck over there, because the media is in their face the whole time. Once they get announced, the media is in their face. They're interviewing with a bazillion dumb questions. And I went up to the guys and said, do you know all your fans are over there? And Uchenna and I walked over, and he got the guys going, the Seahawk chant, and was high-fiving everybody, and brought other guys over so the fans can, that's why they're there. They had been waiting there all day for hours, and I think, I don't know what they pay, but they paid, and then they stick them in a corner where they can't see anything. It was the dumbest thing I'd ever seen. But and then actually, I even went over to some of the Patriots guys, and of course, I had my Seahawk gear on. I said, guys, excuse the gear. That's not why I'm here. But I want to let you know you have a ton of fans over there, and they're just standing there talking, but they didn't know, and so they all went over there, to greet the fans.
That's cool.
But that all being said, I think Uchenna has got such a great heart and a great kid. I think he's a great asset to the team, and of course, having him do that final nail in the coffin touchdown, I think it was a fantastic deal.
Oh yeah, that's cool, man. Well, if
Yeah.
I make it down there, I will let you know. We'll see.
Yeah. You come down with Pops if you come.
Yeah. If it happens, it would be with him.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll do something. We'll do something cool, and of course, Walt's down here. Maybe we go grab a dinner, but we'll be doing a lot of fun stuff. There's a lot of great events, a lot of media centric events. And have you ever done Media Row, Brennan?
No, I have not. I've not really dabbled with the press stuff.
All right, so I got Norb passes in I think it was Vegas, and I got him over to Media Row. What year was it? He was fan of the year. Do you know by any chance?
Not off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
I remember when that happened.
So whatever Super Bowl that was, and it may very well have been in Arizona, but he said he was going to be there, so I got him a day pass for Media Row, so he could go do that circuit. And you being in that space, I think you would really dig it. Just seeing what that's like, it's really amazing. We have 160 shows going on at once in a in a small square circle, and then you've got Spotify, and you've got who's that crazy kicker that does a show?
Oh, Pat McAfee.
Yeah, Pat McAfee and his multi-million-dollar set, because those are all on the periphery, and those huge sets are all set up, and the gambling companies, and they've all got their stuff, and they get their celebrities, but there's celebrities everywhere. So when you're to witness it and just to go hang out for a day, I think you'd really dig it.
Yeah, I would. That'd be great.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. Whenever we invite you always come on. I appreciate you and your dad and supporting us. Love your insight. And I tell you what, the number one thing I took away was the whole trade thing. I mean, the whole free agency thing where we got draft picks. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah. Well, it's relatively recent, but it's a pretty cool system.
Yeah, but important to know. So we appreciate you coming on. Walt, anything else new that you got going other than the coaching? Anything else in the free nonprofit space or anything else that you're doing?
Nope, just in the coach right now. Softball and flag football.
Yeah, just coaching
right now. Yeah.
And that's a humble guy saying just coaching. And anybody that just coaches in the high school level, no, it's not just coaching. It's a time commitment, and it's not just 5 days a week. It's 7 days a week, and you got your kids and you got everything else going on, and you got your family, and so hey, it's good to be back on the air, and it's good to be back, doing what we do, and we'll keep everybody posted. So, unless you have anything else, Brendan, that you can think of.
No, I'm ready for this draft, man. I'm going to be streaming the whole thing on my channel.
Oh, that's right. Where can people find you?
Seahawks Brendan Nelson on YouTube. I also tend to restream to Seahawks BN on X, and I have a Seahawks Brendan Nelson page on Facebook. But the best place to find me is always going to be YouTube. Seahawks Brendan Nelson.
Now, are you still doing the Bleacher Report or no?
Yes, I'm still doing that. Still doing videos over there a few times a week.
Okay.
And when the season starts, that'll probably accelerate even more. But I'm doing extra draft stuff for this year.
All right.
So keep an eye out on that. I'm gonna try to have a video every day for the rest of the month, pretty much, except for the weekends.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm doing a bunch of stuff over there.
All right. Well, very cool. And just, hey, guys, follow us. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. It's Hawk Tawk 12. Hawk Tawk with a W 12. And follow us. And we're going to be giving some cool stuff away again this year. We do it every single year once we start getting ramped up. Give away some autograph stuff. But follow us, and we'll see y'all next week, man.
All right.
Good to be back. Go Hawks.
Thank you for having me on. Go Hawks.
All right. Good night.